Hey, welcome into Chatterbox Bearcats, the midweek show. I am your host, Nick Niehaus, joined always by Eric Lilly at Bearcat Bunch on Twitter. You can follow us both on Twitter. I just mentioned his handle at Bearcat Bunch. Mine's at Nick Niehaus _. We got a fun midweek show this week, and it's not because of Monday night's contest against Kansas State, obviously. We're not going to really talk about that much because me and Lilly did the post game reaction show Monday night. So if you want to hear our thoughts, our initial reactions, listen to that one and then come listen to this show because we're going to preview Arizona. And also, we came up with the idea we're starting a year end award show. So this is the inaugural Chatties. We're calling it the Chatties for Chatterbox Bearcats. If you guys all hate the name, we'll workshop something, maybe come up with something different. But that's what I came up with. You know, everybody does SBs. Part of my take does takies. We're going to go with chatties for now. So we have a bunch of awards to give out. I thought this was a lot of fun. We had a committee. I don't want to out the members of the committee, but if you get mad at the committee, don't come just to me and Lilly. All right. Anyway, Lilly, let's start off with Arizona and then we'll get into all the awards. But I'm excited for this show. Are you excited for Saturday's game?
Oh yeah, and hoping next year's Chatties is better because it was this exercise was kind of frustrating. Remembering like just the big moments should have been bigger and just certain things like that. But we'll get through that when we're going through the awards.
It was still fun. There's still some good stuff out there from this past year, but yeah, we definitely have a lot more to look forward to in 2025. I would hope. I will say this: if you're listening, in the car and whatnot, also check it out on YouTube because we have awesome graphics that you can follow along with. You can see all the nominees, obviously the graphics for the winner. So check us out on YouTube as well. But let's get it started. We have Arizona on Saturday. We'll preview that matchup first. ESPN gives us a 53% chance to win on their matchup predictor. Arizona is 7-5 with losses to Wisconsin, Duke, Oklahoma, West Virginia, UCLA. They took down TCU in their Big 12 opener. Caleb Love, my goodness, he had 33 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists. This is Caleb Love's team. Caleb Love from North Carolina. He transferred into Arizona if you weren't sure. This is his second year over there. Lilly, what are your thoughts on the matchup?
Well, any game with Caleb Love's a little scary because just logic goes out the window. We've all seen his when he blows up, and we also don't see a lot of times where he shoots them out of games unless you just watch a ton of college basketball. And so I'm not going to like try to analyze him too much. I think it'll be interesting to see who guards him. Obviously, I think our starting lineup will stay the same, and I think Skillings is going to start on him maybe. Mitchell, it would feel a little weird to put Mitchell on him, I think, but one of those guys. But when Day-Day's in, I'm interested to see if we go smaller and try to like just kind of annoy him with Day-Day's quickness. And obviously Love has probably 4 inches on Day-Day, maybe even more. But other than that, it's Trey Townsend. People are familiar with him from last March. Their big man, Modius Krivas. Yeah. I'll probably learn how to pronounce his name when he's in the NBA next year. He is out for the year as of a couple games ago. So Arizona's not like Houdini. If you're listening to Houdini a lot, he likes to talk about Arizona's height, their size. They've just got 7-footers everywhere. Well, they just lost their tallest guy, and now their big men are 7 foot and 6'8". And the thing about this game that scares me the most, I think most people are going to say Caleb Love. For me, it's the 6'8" guy. He's 6'8", 250, Toby Awaka. The third best offensive rebounder in the country. He rebounds 21% of their misses. He's a beast. And if you watched Tennessee last year, you'll remember him. But with how we've looked against like Villanova and Kansas State, we didn't really rebound as well as I think we should. Like, I think rebounding is our strength, and it needs to be our strength if we want to reach our peak. And guys like this, Those shorter, thick guys, they scare me against Aziz and Page. Like he's going to bully, and we need to be ready for that. We got to have guys crashing the boards hard around this guy when he's on the court. That's my number 30. Watch out for him. That's my big. That's what I'm looking for.
Everybody's going to point to Caleb Love, like you mentioned, and you had a really good point on Monday night after the Kansas State loss in that reaction video, talking about Caleb Love, where we're going to know by halftime if Caleb Love is on or off, if he's going to kill us or not. As you were just talking, I was curious to that point, and I pulled up his game log. In the games, it's pretty obvious what needs to happen for Arizona to win. Now, I'm sure, and look, I haven't watched Arizona much. You know, I'm doing my prep on them. Like, I'm not wrong in saying this is Caleb Love's team. I know that. But you look at his shooting performances in their losses. And that's my point of, what has to happen for them to win. It has to be Caleb Love scoring the ball. Because here's what he shoots in their losses. UCLA loss, he went 1 for 7 from the 3-point line. In the Duke loss, 1 for 9 from the 3-point line. In the Wisconsin loss, 0 for 6 from the 3-point line. And then against West Virginia, 4 for 12. Oklahoma, 3 for 9. Those are both 33%. That's not terrible. But when he is not shooting well, they do not win. And then you look at the games they win. They only won by 9 against TCU in their Big 12 opener. And he had 33 points, went 11 of 17 from the floor, and 5 for 11 from 3-point. So, again, it's not like I've grinded a ton of tape on Arizona where I'm like, maybe it's not just Caleb Love shoots well, they win. He doesn't shoot well, they lose. But that is a jarring performance in terms of like the 3 ball falling for Caleb Love, them winning, it not falling, them losing, right? What do you think about that?
Yeah, and I think his body language has been a little weird this year. Like the Duke and Wisconsin games I watched, him and Jaden Bradley, I'm probably overthinking it. I don't think they really get along. Maybe it's something else on the team, but they seem to be coming into form right now. Like, I think they're getting better. I think we need to just, for once, just dominate a team at home. I know they're just as good as we are, but this reminds me of that Texas game last year where we know we can win. We probably should win at home, and we got to do the job this year. We got to flip the script. And one other thing I wanted to talk about real quick with Arizona is they don't shoot many threes, believe it or not. And they also let teams shoot a ton of threes. Just real quick, 23% of their points come from threes. That's 343rd in the country. There's only like 360 teams. So they are not shooting. And they miss a lot too. So that's not all volume. But they don't shoot as much as you'd think just because Caleb Love's on their team. They only have 2 guys on the team with over 33-point attempts. We have 4. And we've got like 2 or 3 guys that are almost at 32. So like it's just Love. And then Anthony Delorso, the transfer from Campbell. And Carter Bryant's right there too. But they give up a lot of threes and they don't shoot a lot of threes. This would be a great day to make some threes, guys. Come on. Let's just make it easy on ourselves.
Well, and you might have it up on your screen. I'm not somebody who just believes everything they read on the internet, but I'm in all of the chats, I'm in all of the Discords, like I'm all over the place on the internet when it comes to the Bearcats. And somebody said that they were like 240th on 3-point defense. Do you have that up? They're poor at defending the 3, right?
Yeah, so 39% of opponents' points come from the 3-point line compared to the 23% for them.
Okay.
It's 20th worst in the country. But that's like just a distribution of total points. The 3-point percentage actually is 34%, which isn't awful. But yeah, they let teams go for it. Let it fly.
You know what I like about that, and this is something that I had an issue with in the Kansas State game, is we're not getting our role players any looks from three. Betsy's a 3-point shooter. Hickman's a 3-point shooter. Like, that's their role on this team. At least that's what we think it is in terms of Betsy. Hickman, we know that's why he was added onto the team. They don't get any open looks against good competition. So hopefully this is a game that gets them some confidence and gets them some open looks, and they knock down these open looks, because they both got one look each from the 3-point line against Kansas State and bricked the hell out of the shot. Both of them did. So
and that would do wonders, like just what happened with Kansas State. If Hickman or Betsy or both of them play well, like on Saturday, it'll just do wonders for morale, fan base, and team, I think.
yeah. And like I mentioned, how I caught a stray from Charlie early on in the year, how I said that we have a ton of shooters. We did against bad competition because these guys got easy open looks. Like Seamus didn't even get any easy open looks against Kansas State. He's our best shooter. So I don't think we have a ton of shooters. So this has to be the game where, we get some open looks for these guys. I feel like a lot of overreactions from Monday's game, and the Tuesday scores from around the Big 12 kind of make me feel better. You mentioned it might not make you feel better because West Virginia went on the road and upset Kansas. There was another game that was a big upset, or at least it was coming down to the wire against a team that shouldn't have had no business in the game. Do you know which one? Save me here.
UCF beat Texas Tech.
Exactly. So there was a lot of overreaction about us losing on the road. It's hard to win on the road in the Big 12. You still got to win those games, right? But the reason I bring this up is Saturday. You said you weren't going to put the must-win moniker on it. How big of a deal is Saturday's game? I guess that's how I'll pose the question.
It's a big one, just for perception. And I feel like I'm saying the same thing every podcast but I think it's accurate. Like, we're waiting for that. We were building up to that big moment where, like, we're back. And we just lose the next game every time. So these next 3 games here, I think that's part of the talking point around this Arizona game, is that if you lose it, you play at Baylor and then you play Kansas at home. So it's scary. But you could lose to Arizona, then win the next 2, and everything's all better. I would rather just beat Arizona and lose the road game or something. But I like how we match up against all 3 of those teams. Like, the teams that scare me are later on in the schedule: Iowa State and Houston. But after losing to Kansas State, it's hard to be totally confident. I just think it's huge in terms of perception with how the Texas game went last year, where I actually couldn't make it to that game, but everything I've heard, my mom and my wife went instead, how awesome that environment was, like how ready people were to sell, like, and I think it's going to feel like that again, like the shootout. And to flip the script from last year, you got to win these home games. So that's the thing I'm going to keep harping on, is win your home games this year.
We talked before this 4-game slate. What's the expectation? 4-0, 3-1, 2-2, 1-3. At this point, with the loss being to Kansas State and not to Arizona or to Kansas or to Baylor. Now, I know Kansas State's the first game, but with Kansas State already chalked up as a loss, 2-2 to me feels okay. Whether that comes, 2-2 feels good to me. Am I being too easy on Wes?
I think you could say it now that we lost to Kansas State.
Exactly. Like before, it's like 3-1. Yes.
Yeah.
Before, but the loss being to Kansas State, who's not Kansas or Baylor or Arizona, right? Like, out of the 4 matchups, they're easily the worst of the 3. Well, as of now, I mean, they were 6-5. So, I mean, I still think Kansas State's good, but I guess I would take 2-2. And I feel like I'm letting Wes off easy, even though, I mean, you think he cares about what I think, right? But no, I'm just saying, like, win 2. 2 is acceptable. Anything less, not acceptable. Is that how you're thinking too?
Yeah, I'm a little soft with stuff like this. I'd take 2-2 right now, but I do think we can go 3-1, and I also think we could go 1-3. So that's why I would take 2-2.
Okay. I agree. Last thoughts on Arizona before we get into the chatties.
That's it for me. It's don't let them kill you on the offensive boards. They're sixth in the country, and then take the threes and make them. Make your shots and win the damn game, guys.
Win the game. We have huge ones coming up. Let's get into the chatties. All right, I'm adding it to the stage. So if you're with us on YouTube, this is also new to me. So I hope it works out well. The first award for the inaugural Chatties. Now, this is, I want to, clarify, for the year of 2024. So this is the back half of last year's basketball season, obviously the entire football season this year, and the start of this season, and up to this point. I hope that made sense. That was an awful way to put it, but I think we're good. First award, we have 7. Bearcats Player of the Year. The nominees: Seamoss, Skillings, Sorsby, and Dante Corleone. The winner of the first Chatty of Player of the Year, Seamoss Lukosius. We need like Chuck's soundboard for a drum roll and a cheer, but you get my clapping instead. Seamoss is our Player of the Year for the year 2024. What do you think about that, Lilly? Let's see. It was not a unanimous vote.
Because of me.
Yeah. I voted Seamoss.
It looks like everybody did Seamoss except me. This is a tough one for me because I thought all 4 guys are right there. Sorsby came on the scene, had a good season. Corleone's our guy. Just great as always. And then Seamoss, big shot after big shot down the stretch. It felt like he was the guy that kept us together. But I thought Skillings was our best player last year. And I thought his development in season was why we didn't fall apart. And it felt like we had a really bad season last year, but it could have been much worse if we lost a couple more of those games, I think. And it was so close. This isn't me like hating on Seamoss. It was just I'm a big Dan Skillings guy, and I think his impact on this team is just massive.
Yeah, this is a lot to do with the fact that it starts in 2024. And that's where Seamoss kind of took hold of this team and, like you said, made big shots down the stretch of a lot of games the back half of that season. So I think if you take into account all of last year, then maybe it wouldn't have been 3-1 on the vote for Seamoss Lukosius. Now I just outed that we have 4 voted.
I wonder who it was.
Yeah, right. The committee. It's the committee. All right, Seamoss, Player of the Year. Let's move on to the next award. Most Improved Player. We have 4 basketball players as nominees: Aziz Bendago, Dan Skillings, Day Thomas, and Jizzle James. The winner of the Most Improved Player of 2024, Jizzle James. Give it up to him. I will start off talking about this one. I voted for Jizzle. The reason I voted for Jizzle is one reason: the on-ball defense. You kind of got the vibe, and I kind of forget if Wes said it publicly or not about why he wasn't getting as much run in the start of his freshman year, but it was defense. He was getting cooked, and it was, in the non-con too, and we had an awful non-con. I asked you, I was like, do the analytics support Jizzle's defense this year? They do. Like, he has improved greatly as a defender. I think people have a little bit unrealistic expectations when it comes to Jizzle. They wanted him to be a superstar this year. I think he's been solid, and I think his defense has been amazing. I obviously am not the only one who voted for Jizzle. But what do you think about it?
Again, another tough one. And I think it kind of just shows how deep our team is. We don't have like that true superstar. And I know a lot of people think that's a problem. I think it's a good thing, especially if we get that rotation, that shortened rotation heading into March with like 8 guys, 9 guys, and they're all really good. So if someone's having a bad game, you just sub them in, sub them out. And I consider Jizzle really strongly. Again, so this is just like CMOS there, but I went with Skillings again because of and I know this was in 2023, the out of conference, but Dan, his improvement in the Big 12, like people when we got to that BYU game, I think a lot of people have trouble going back and remembering what we were thinking. But people were saying bench Skillings. Like there was stuff like he's got to stop playing. He keeps turning the ball over. And he got better in the Big 12. Like that's kind of crazy to me. And the reason I picked him is because just you'd think when the games got harder, he would have kept doing the same thing or gotten worse. And I think he just got so much better. And I think he looks even better now. So, another Dan Skillings vote for me.
You're a big Dan Skillings guy. Day got a vote. Aziz Bendego did not get a vote, which I don't want to say shocks me because I didn't vote for him, but he has been, I think, awesome for this team this year. So I like what I've seen from Aziz. I don't think it's a knock on him that he didn't get a vote or anything, but Jizzle James,
I thought about it.
Player.
Yeah, like seriously,
it's a tough one.
I think you could vote Jizzle, Skillings, CMOS, Day, Aziz. Seriously,
everybody.
And you could argue it, and I wouldn't tell you you're wrong.
Well, it's you know what, and this thought just popped into my mind. It's kind of a blessing and a curse because we kept all those guys, and yes, they've all improved and we've gotten better as a team. But the curse is there's not been a significant improvement greatly where it's like this guy has been awesome compared to how he was. Like they've all improved, each in their own right. But like I think what we are missing, is a guy to take that superstar status. But anyway, Jizzle James.
And real quick.
Yeah, what?
If anyone was wondering why we didn't have any football players on Most Improved, it's because we didn't have any of them return. We had.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I was trying to think of nominees.
But
yeah, I was trying to think of the nominees for football. I was like, let's just go to hoops. All right. I'm excited for this next one. It is our comeback player of the year. We don't even have nominees. This one's going to Dante Corleone for our comeback player of the year. I didn't allow anybody to vote on this. And I think he's the comeback player of the year because he keeps coming back. Dante Corleone just loves Cincinnati. He's our comeback player of the year because he keeps coming back. Also, he did have those medical issues, right? So I was like, this is a no-brainer. Chalk this one up.
He gets 2 trophies.
Yeah.
One for coming back and one for coming back.
Yeah, coming back from the medical stuff, and then also he just keeps coming back to the team. I love Dante Corleone. I don't want to, obviously, since there was no other nominees, there's not much to talk about hypothetical-wise here, but I want you to give a little spiel on Corleone. What do you think about him?
Oh, man, Dante, to me, the reason why I still believe in the football program right now, and I know it's hard to. I do better with stuff like this than most fans. But guys like him coming back says something to me when he could go anywhere. And there's been some pretty substantiated rumors / reports of the teams he was linked to or could have gone to if he wanted, and he stayed here. And one of those teams that he could go to is the NFL draft. And guys don't waste like their last year. Like he's coming back for a reason. He believes he can do something here. And I think that means something to me, like that means the locker room's bought in much more than the fans are. And that's more important than the fans being bought in, by the way. Because if they start out hot next year, we'll all be back on and we'll be like, oh, we should have seen this coming. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, but if this team turns it around next year, it's because guys like Corleone, Royer, Sorsby rallied the troops, got everybody back together, and ran it back.
I love Dante Corleone, and it started from when I heard his Skyline order. Putting the fries in the Cholito. I have done that ever since. I get the cheese fries, I get a Cholito, and I put it in myself because I like to, manage it. But this dude's Skyline order, if you haven't heard, is absolutely absurd. I don't have it up in front of me, but it's on Twitter somewhere. It's crazy. He gets like 5 Cholitos or something. But I've always loved him. I think he's awesome.
I know we don't do much food talk in here, but let's hear your order real quick.
I get a Cholito, a small 3-way, and then I split cheese fries with my wife. I usually, if I'm going with my wife, if not, I probably take the 3-way out. What about you?
2 cheese conies with everything. Used to be 3, but getting older.
Three's that's a good point. Yeah, no, Dante Corleone's awesome.
Also, used to have a Mountain Dew.
Oh,
but I've been robbed of that. So yeah, just forever. 2 cheese conies.
I'm a cherry Coke guy, so I don't mind adding that, but the Mountain Dew is criminal. All right, moving on. Newcomer of the year: Seamus Lukosius, Joe Royer, Brendan Sorsby, Dylan Mitchell. The committee. Oh no, the committee was not unanimous. I thought we had a unanimous vote. Did you?
My fault.
Oh, okay. No, we almost had a unanimous vote. The winner of newcomer of the year, Dylan Mitchell from Texas. I'm glad I don't have to hear every basketball game the Texas transfer like we heard with the Alabama transfer and Jerome Ford. I voted for Mitchell. The rest of the committee did. You guys just heard that Lilly did not. Lilly, why are you a Dylan Mitchell hater? No, I'm just kidding. Who'd you vote for?
I would. Yeah, you go first.
I'll talk about Mitchell. I think Mitchell's awesome. I think people were giving us crap that we didn't say that he was our most important player in our last midweek show. And we could have put him in there. Right. I viewed important as there's different ways to view important. And I thought Aziz Bendego's our most important player because if we get something from him, he raises our team to a level because we don't really have a 5 post presence. Right. So I don't want to get into that, necessarily because I want to stick to Dylan Mitchell. Dylan Mitchell's awesome. I think he's one of my all-time favorite Bearcats already. He's only played 13 games. 12 games. And I mean, like the dunks, first off, like he gives fans what they want. He's fun to watch. People can buy tickets just to see that, just a chance to see him slam one. And also what he says, he's awesome. He loves Cincinnati. Like he said that was the most fun environment he's ever had in terms of the crossout shootout. I love this guy. Like he's awesome on the court, off the court. You can tell he's well liked by the team. And he's somebody that could have an ego. He was a McDonald's All-American coming out of high school. He went to Texas, obviously a major school. No, not a basketball school, but seems like a humble guy. It goes beyond basketball for me. Like he's a good ambassador for the school, and I just love Dylan Mitchell.
Dylan's like a coach's dream. Like when we were linked with him before he committed, I was watching interviews, and I was like, we got to get this guy. Like, and you just brought up the thing I like the most about him is like those 5 stars, like the high 5 stars, don't talk like he does in terms of role. Like he's willing to accept his role on the team. He just seems like he's like a 27, 28 older guy, like he's got it figured out. Just a happy guy. Great to have those guys in the locker room. And the things he's done for this team, not just the fact that he makes threes now. We'll see how long. We'll see if that continues. But we've gotten better at transition. Feels weird saying that after Kansas State. We've gotten he gets those some offensive boards like Skillings. He's a lob threat. It's and he's kind of taken over that Newman role defensively. Although I think We'll see. He's up there with Newman in terms of defense. It sounds like I voted for him, doesn't it?
One last comment about Mitchell, and then I want to talk about who you voted for. I said it after the shootout. I don't know if it was on a podcast. I think it was. I think it was our midweek show. But when he said that was the most fun he's ever had in a basketball game, if you're Wes Miller, you clip that and you just email that. Well, email, my gosh. High school kids don't have emails. You clip that and you send it to your 5-star recruits that you're going after.
Yep, that was a great clip. He has great clips after every game.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's awesome. But you voted for, tell us.
Joe Royer.
Okay. Why so?
Because we gotta have some football guys in here.
Okay.
But, I actually, the three guys I considered was Sorsby, Royer, and Mitchell. I think just Royer coming back and after not playing at Ohio State and being, the storylines around this, it's an accurate storyline. We're not really recruiting Cincinnati kids or landing them out of high school. And the fact that we are getting them in the transfer portal means a lot to me, because you got to get some, right? And most of them perform this year. But to me, Royer's like the face of that. And there was a lot of hype of him after the spring game and all summer. And, every year it feels like there's a guy that gets hyped and then doesn't do anything. I was doing that in my head with Royer, but then he instantly popped off the screen. Like this guy, it's like he's going to the NFL. And I think he's going to blow up next year. He only had 550 yards or something like that. And it wasn't like a crazy season, but it was really good. He broke Kelsey's record for receptions, which is 50. He got to 50 receptions. And I think the early season success was mostly Sorsby and Royer. Like the stuff that we can be like, we got better this year. I know a lot of people don't agree with me on that, but Sorsby and Royer are those guys who I point to show that we did get better. And the fact that they're coming back has me pretty excited for next season.
I like Royer, and honestly, I would say Sorsby would have been my number 2 when it comes to this if he had. And again, there's a lot of debate on if it's him or if it was the receivers down the stretch, but he didn't have a great end of the year. If he did, maybe he's my answer. But then again, I'm biased towards basketball because I love seeing slam dunks. And also I think Dylan Mitchell does a lot for us, not only on the court, but also off.
Yeah. I think if we got to a bowl game, I think Sorsby might have won this.
Yeah. All right. We are going to the next award. It is the Performance of the Year. 3 hoops, 1 football. Simas Lukosius is our first nominee. 28 points versus San Francisco, and also he hit that game winner. Dan Skillings, 25 points versus Kansas in the Big 12 tournament. Jizzle James, 25 points versus Bradley in the NIT. And then Brendan Sorsby, 426 yards, 4 touchdowns against Texas Tech in a losing effort.
This is the sad part.
Yeah, this is what we mentioned earlier. This is a tough one. We have an NIT, we have a Big 12 tournament we didn't win, or we have 2 NITs and then a loss. This is a tough one. And this winner shocked me. It's Brendan Sorsby. We put in a Performance of the Year in a loss. What the hell is the committee thinking? I'm kidding.
It wasn't me or you, though.
I was gonna say, I feel like Chuck and Houdini are gonna listen to this and they're gonna be like, "All right, Niehaus, shut the hell up." Yeah, Sorsby's our winner. I mean, I'll tell you what, it was a hell of a performance. 426 yards. That's a ton. I mean, I think that's probably, I want to hear what the reasoning was there, because that's probably just too good of a performance to pass up. And also it's football is not like basketball where, I mean, we see it with the Bengals. Joe Burrow's probably the MVP, but we're not going to make the playoffs. Football and basketball, you don't have performances like this and lose 9 times out of 10. Like football, you can lose every game and have this. Doesn't take away that this was a hell of a performance from Sorsby. So what do you think, Lilly?
I thought about it with Sorsby almost. I think it might have been my second. But I think the problem is the other options. It's like the NIT and it was fun, whatever. And it was a crazy performance. And at that time, it was like, holy shit, dude, like we're good. So I think people remember that. And I know we lost the game, but if Kiner didn't get hurt, we're not losing that game. That Evan Pryor fumble doesn't happen. Start the second half. That really flipped the game, in my opinion. And I think we win that game with Kiner. So maybe in the alternate reality where we did win that game, this is like the obvious one. I'm not even sure if I would have pulled the trigger on it, but it's fine. The main theme for this part is that 2024 kind of sucked.
Yeah, this is a tough look on the graphic. Like he's our performance of the year, and people can like take this picture and be like, well, they lost. And it's like, I think Joe Burrow is helping us in that right of like, we can appreciate a good performance.
Yeah.
I went with Dan Skillings because, and I didn't mention it. I only mentioned the one game. He also had a really good game against Kansas in the regular season in a losing effort, 16 points in that game. The reason I went with Skillings is because allegedly he was getting offers in the handshake line. Like, talk about, I mean, that's a performance. If the other team is trying to get you on their team, you know, what, again, allegedly, no legal ramifications here. That is alleged. But that, I mean, we've all heard those rumors. So that's why I went with Skillings. You went with Jizzle.
I actually, the more I think about it, I think Skillings might be. Did I just switch my vote?
Yeah,
I think
I'll allow it.
The case for me with Skillings is that Big 12 tournament run, it wasn't a crazy run. And I know Kansas was kind of decimated, but that was probably the best time of the year, right? Like it kind of felt good going on that run to like after how frustrating the season was and just showing fans that, you know, we're good guys. We just barely missed the tournament. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
I voted for Jizzle though. And it's kind of similar. It's like, you know, the season's ending. Look at what we're going to be next year. This is it was Jizzle showing his improvement to me. And it's funny to say that because I didn't vote for him as most improved, but he did improve. Like to me, it was like he got a new role and performed in it. And it gave a lot of people reason to believe in this season and more off-season hype when Jizzle did announce he was staying. More handshake line stuff going on there, but not to. But yeah, that's a tough one.
I'll put it this way: like if Jizzle doesn't have, and I said only 25 points against Bradley, he also had 21 points in the NIT in another game as well. And if he doesn't have those performances, people still loved him, right? But nobody would have had the offseason expectations that they had with Jizzle because people thought he was going to come in and own this team. And that's because of those two games. So I like your reasoning there. All right, let's move on.
The minutes he played too was pretty impressive. I forgot to mention that. Like he played like 38 and 39 or something like that.
Yeah, and he was awesome.
That's crazy. Yeah.
He was awesome. Next up, play of the year. We've got 2 from Cimas Lukosius. We have a 3-point shot late at Texas Tech, and he also hit the game-winning 2. On the road, a huge win there. Like that's a big one. Cimas, a last-second 3-point shot in the NIT versus San Francisco. If you don't remember that one, probably one of the craziest game winners I've ever seen. Easily the craziest game winner I've ever seen for my own team. Like I think that's the best game winner I've ever seen. Did I just give away my vote? No. And this one I put on here, this next one that I was a little worried about that I'll say it. It's Zach Fremantle missing the 3-point shot in the shootout. I'm like, you know what? It'll be funny, especially if that won, but this is something on the graphic where you see it and it's like, oh God, Xavier fans can come in here and be like, oh my God, the best moment of your year is when we missed a shot. Like, oh God, like shut up. All right. Like, yeah, I put it in because it's hilarious. And he bricked a wide open game tying shot. And then the last one, Dan Skillings. This is a hell of a play from what I remember. Big dunk against Texas. That got people going. It was the reason it's in here and I nominated it is because this was the first huge environment I felt, in the Big 12, and Skillings posterizing, Texas got everybody on their feet. It was probably the first cool moment of the Big 12 era. So yeah, it's 2 points on the scoreboard, but I thought that play was awesome. So we got 2 from CMOS. Zach Fremantle made his way in the chatties for missing a shot. And then Dan Skillings, huge dunk against Texas. The winner is CMOS against Texas Tech. Now, he hit 2 big shots in this game, as I mentioned. The 3 with about 2 minutes left. I think that put us up 5. Texas Tech comes back. They take the lead. He hits a 2-pointer, and we end up winning. What do you think, Lilly? I'm looking at your vote.
I went with this.
All right, you went with this.
And it was hard because the San Francisco shot was just so crazy that I feel like I should have voted for it. But when we beat Texas Tech, it was right after that West Virginia game we lost that we blew and John Newman got hurt and we just crumbled. And it was like very obvious. It felt like we were spiraling at that point. So this was just one that got everybody back in it. We have Houston and Iowa State right after this game too. So if we don't pull this game off, it's just a big losing streak. And I think that one game there made the season feel much better than if we lost it. And a 6-12 or 7-11 isn't a big deal, but especially with how the game was going. Like he wasn't really doing much, and then he just killed him the last 5 minutes. I think more than half his points came in the last 5 minutes, and then like you said, the big 3 to go up 4 or 5. Texas Tech immediately takes the lead down the stretch. We're just like, here we go again, and then he wins it. That's why I voted for it. It's like it's cheating because it's play of the year, but it was just accumulation. And then I would say that big 2, obviously to win the game was bigger, but both of them were critical.
Yeah. That's very good reasoning. I didn't even think about it like that. I think for what you just mentioned, I probably would have, if we had like a pregame, state your case, I probably would vote for CMOS against Texas Tech. I voted for the Fremantle miss because I hate Xavier. And I think it's hilarious that this guy who everybody's been clamoring for to leave Xavier forever because he's been there for 7 years had a chance to tie it up and kind of sweep us, right? I mean, God, now it's sad that I'm saying it out loud. But anyway, missed a wide open shot to tie it, and we win the crosstown shootout for the first time in a long time. So I voted for that.
And another reason why you voted for it is to make Kirby have to clip that for us.
Make the graphic. I know. I did also think about that too, but I was like, this could be funny or this could backfire. So at least, hey, self-aware in that, right? Whatever. All right, that was a good one. Moving on to is this our last award? It is. Game of the Year. Speaking of the Fremantle miss, we have the crosstown shootout. We have our first road win in the Big 12. That was our first road win in the Big 12 against BYU, right? If my memory serves me well.
Correct.
Either way, yeah. Either way, huge win. UC 71, BYU 60. We just we have UC 81, TCU 77 at home, and then UC 72, Kansas 52. The winner of Game of the Year, our only unanimous winner, it's the crosstown shootout.
We did it.
I think this is an obvious one. Those were huge games, but I said it when we won this game that this was the most important win of the Wes Miller era. The other 3 teams might have been better, right? I think all 3 teams were better in this award, but I don't care. We don't even have to belabor this point. Like this is obvious. Like we needed this win this year. I can't go another year with my Xavier friends just picking on me. And now it's huge win. Game of the year for sure. And it was also awesome to be there. Like, it was an awesome crowd, awesome environment.
It's going to be a tough one next year when we're doing the first crosstown shootout win at Cintas in a while for the Bearcats versus the Baylor away game and Arizona at home. There's going to be a lot better ones next year, guys.
Yeah, I think, look, a crosstown shootout is obviously one of the biggest games on the schedule. And I know we prefaced it with 2024 was an okay year for the Bearcats. But I think it's the start of something. I think we're building. We have the guys on campus. I truly believe that, and know the results haven't been there yet, but I believe, and hopefully next year's Chatties, there's a little more success mixed in. I don't know. I mean, I had a lot of fun doing this though.
Yeah, this is good. I'm pretty sure next year's just going to be much better. Both teams should be better this year, and I think it's obvious. It's just feels weird saying that after the Kansas State game. If the shootout wasn't on this, who would you have picked? Because I would have gone with. My guess is you would have gone with Kansas. I would have gone with the BYU game.
I would have gone with BYU, actually. The reason I wouldn't have gone with Kansas is because they were missing their two best players, or maybe it was their three best players.
Something like it was a lot.
Either way, it didn't feel like it felt awesome to beat Kansas, in the Big 12 tournament. Don't get me wrong. But BYU, I remember it was a 10:00 game on a Saturday. There was not a ton of excitement surrounding the fan base. I was out at a bar, and I'm like, all right, here we go. We're going to get our asses kicked. At least I'm out, having fun with my friends. I'll watch the game. And then we're kind of locked in about 10 minutes in, and it just felt different. I wasn't I think that one feels good because nobody was expecting to win. We need more of those.
We dog walked them too. And it was before the game, it felt like we had no chance. And if you told me before the game that dude, was his name, Trevin Nell or something, hit 9 threes or something. If you would have told me they had a guy hit 9 threes against us, I would have said we lost by 40. Instead, we won by 11.
Yeah, that felt awesome because nobody thought we were going to win that. And we ended up, like you said, dog walking them. And then I was like, oh, are the Bearcats for real? And no, I mean, we kind of were, but no. And now we have the expectation of being for real. I know this is tough because we just lost to Kansas State. This would be a lot more fun if we had taken care of business against them. I still think this was awesome. I loved doing this. I think giving out these awards was fun. I think everybody was well deserving. And you know what I'm more excited for? All the anger that everybody's going to have of us picking the wrong award winners.
I'm a little worried on my picks here.
I think it's,
I hope I explained them properly, but
I was just saying, here's the thing. If you got the right reasoning, it doesn't matter. And I think we all each had, at least in our opinion, correct reasoning. So that's it. Hey, that's the Chatties. We got Arizona on Saturday at 2:30 at Fifth Third Arena. That's a huge one. I'm going to be in attendance. I can't wait. I don't, maybe a Spaces this week. I hate saying this stuff without even planning it because it's like, but I mean, I'll do one. You know what I mean? I'll do a Twitter Spaces.
Let's do a Friday night Spaces. Nobody goes out on Friday night the week of New Year's Eve, right? We're all chilling at home.
Something. We can do something. So no, that's it for the show. Thanks for following along. I would like for this to be a little interactive. If you didn't like any of our answers, let us know. But we're nice guys. Don't be too mean to us. Gosh, I mean, goodness gracious. No, I'm kidding. But anyway, that's it. Lilly, you got any last thoughts about Arizona or the Chatties in general?
Nope, that's it. Let's I'll see you Saturday, and hopefully it's on a good note.
That's right. All right, guys. Again, 2-2 I think is acceptable, but anything less is not, and we'll take 3-1. Lilly thinks we can get the job done against all three. I think West rallies the guys. I think we might be able to pull one off on Saturday at least. All right, guys, that's it for the show. Go Bearcats.